The time is finally upon us for one of Doctor Who's best classic seasons to receive Blu-ray treatment, as in today's Doctor Who product review, I'm going to be taking a look at the most recent release as a part of the Doctor Who The Collection Complete Season box sets, as today I'm going to be taking a look at the Complete Season 23, or as it is also known as Trial of a Time Lord, starring Colin Baker as the one and only brilliant sassy 6th Doctor, alongside Michael Jaston as the valeyard in one of the most unique ever seasons of Doctor Who. Naturally, as you will all probably know, I am a massive fan of the 6th Doctor, so naturally when we got the announcement of this box set returning within the Blu-ray series, I was naturally incredibly excited, and it has failed to disappoint. Once again, this box set is a brilliant combination of features as previously seen on the original 2010 DVD release, as well as featuring many brand new special features and documentaries that make this set an absolutely essential purchase, with once again Lee Binding returning to provide some absolutely phenomenal looking artwork. So much like with all of the previous complete season box sets that have been released as a part of this series, I certainly recommend picking them up as soon as possible in order to avoid disappointment. This series has been incredibly popular so far, and there is a good reason for that because it has been absolutely brilliant so far, and therefore if you have collected the previous box sets within this series, this one is a must to add to your collection, because much like all of the others, it will eventually be sold out, and then it will probably go for highly extortionate prices on eBay. And also, just as a side note, it was of course recently confirmed at MCM that Doctor Who Complete Season 12, the rarest of the collection so far, will in fact be getting a re-release. However, at the current time of filming, we don't know if it's going to be a direct re-release of the original version, or if it is going to be downgraded down to the standard Blu-ray packaging. Much like the previous releases within this series, this is available to be purchased from a number of different retailers, including Amazon, Zavvi and Zoom, as well as HMV. Recommended retail is around £38.99, and I highly recommend it for that price because it is certainly worth it for all the special features that you get, because as per usual, this box set is absolutely loaded. Much like all the other reviews in this series, throughout this video I will be taking a look at the actual product itself, as well as the contents on the discs, including the special features and documentaries. However, I will not be reviewing the actual episodes, as that should be a whole different video entirely. So taking a look at the product itself, as per usual, this is made of an incredibly high quality cardboard. The display itself is incredibly stylish and modern in its design, with a brilliant image of Colin Baker, looking bright and colourful as always. At the bottom of the box you do get your removable cardboard slipcase featuring the BBC and new series Doctor Who logo that this time round has been given a rather ominous looking red glow. Just below this we have the collection Complete Season 23, along with the fact that this is a 6-disc set and the general rating overall is a 12. On the side of the box it does once again repeat the BBC logo and the 12 rating, as well as stating that this is Season 23. And then of course flipping around to the back of the box, as per usual we have the continuation of the slipcase in exactly the same layout to usual, this time round with a rather nice plum colour scheme, stating details about the Blu-ray discs themselves, as well as all the special features on the discs, which naturally I do recommend keeping this, and if you don't keep it, I recommend re-evaluating your life choices, because this is a part of the product and it looks incredibly beautiful indeed. It's a piece of cardboard, Ben, Jesus, get a grip. At the very top of this, once again, it does state the title of the product along with Build Your Own Doctor Who archive of this Ultimate Collector's set, and then of course does state that this is Trial of a Time Lord. Personally, I think that they should have included the individual episodes at this point, including Mysterious Planet, Mindwarp, Terror of the Vervoids and the Ultimate Form, simply just to pad out this section, and to be honest, I see all of the stories within Trial of a Time Lord as stories in their own individual right, with kind of a plot arc running throughout, even though people do see this as one big 14-part story, which I suppose it is, but it is just up to personal opinion, I suppose. And then of course towards the opposite side of this we get a rather lovely looking image of the 6th Doctor in the dock, along with Lord Kiv taking over Peri's body in the background. Just below this, of course, as per usual, we do get a light grey rectangle, which goes on to list all of the brand new special features which have been included on this 2019 Blu-ray release, including Behind the Sofa, Surround Sound, The Writer's Room, and of course, The Cookbook Revisited, which I will of course be going on to all of these different special features a little bit later on in this review. And of course, just below this, it does go on to state that all of the previous making of documentaries, featurettes, deleted scenes and audio commentaries from the previous DVD releases are also featured on this box set. And then of course, to round off the back of the box, we get all of your usual Blu-ray detail information, including the feature length being 342 minutes, and of course stating that this rather brilliant series stars Colin Baker, Nicola Bryant and Bonnie Langford. Removing the product from the cardboard slipcase now, this does of course reveal a rather sleek and stylish modern clean text version of the cover art underneath, featuring the Sixth Doctor in all of his wonderful colourful glory. And I'm not just saying this because the Sixth Doctor is my favourite Doctor. I genuinely think this might be my favourite artwork of the series so far. I think there's just something about it which is incredibly satisfying and lovely, and I know I've said that about all of them. However, there's something about this cover in particular, and I think it might be down to the Sixth Doctor's coat, because I think the outer vortex that is used within the Sixth Doctor's theme, looking incredibly 80s with its starfield design, really nicely complements the Sixth Doctor's coat, and when this is put together, it creates a really lovely filter over the image itself, making it look really colourful, but also not too colourful at the same time. It's almost had a nice wash applied over the top to make it look very clean and sharp. Of course, we have the Sixth Doctor here looking towards the camera, and as per usual with the normal format of including a few characters from the series at the bottom. And yeah, it's certainly my favourite of the series so far, and looks brilliant alongside of the other box sets released as a part of this series. In the central half of the image itself, we do of course get the Gallifreyan space station, where the trial does of course take place, with a really lovely touch of having the light beam and the TARDIS being sucked into the middle of the space station, as seen throughout the intro of the mysterious planet, being one of the best practical effects seen throughout pretty much the entirety of Doctor Who history. Then we do of course have the Inquisitor, as portrayed by the late Linda Bellingham, and we do also have Michael Jason in his full costume as a valeyard, along with a rather interesting looking Vervoid, along with Drothor from the mysterious planet, and of course Syl. Once again, a really lovely starfield has been applied over the top of this to make it nicely blend into the Sixth Doctor theme tune, which does of course also continue into the actual costume itself. Every single time Lee Binding creates one of these pieces of artwork, I'm absolutely blown away at how 21st century it looks, considering that this is of course a person in costume from the 1980s, and it must be very hard to get a photo from the 1980s and actually make it look modern and something that is suitable for a 21st century product. However, Lee Binding manages time and time again to make these photos look incredibly high quality and certainly stand out when on display, along with the rest of the seasons that have been released so far. I can't wait to see what he creates next. Back in September at the BFI Mindwarp event in London, I did in fact get the opportunity to talk to Lee Binding about a few of his pieces of work that he has done as a part of this series in the past, and he was talking about how all of these images are in fact a series of many different Sixth Doctor images, all brought together to create an image like this, where he is looking directly towards the camera, which I think he does an incredibly good job of making these pictures, considering that they're photoshopped, actually look like a genuine photo that has been taken. As per usual, stunning work, I'm incredibly impressed, and certainly does the Sixth Doctor justice. The side of the box does of course contain exactly the same spine layout seen on all of the previous complete season box set releases, including the Blu-ray logo, of course a smaller image of the cover art itself, the new series Doctor Who logo, this time in the black typeface, and of course the season 23 banner at the very bottom, which is really nicely complemented when on display side by side with all of the other box sets. And this design is of course replicated at the top of the box as well as the side, just with a plain piece at the bottom, and as per usual has been made out of a rather nice high quality cardboard to protect the inside of the box. As per usual, as a part of this series, the back of the box does also fail to disappoint, with a continuation of the rather lovely looking stylish design, this time round once again featuring the Gallifreyan space station as seen throughout the actual story, that has received a 21st century upgrade, however is still truthful to the prop as seen within the TV show itself. Now, other than Lee Binding, the additional CGI on this box set design has been created by Jonathan Pickard, who I do believe created the TARDIS exterior box boxes seen throughout the artwork on this set, as well as Dave Ladkin, who I do believe in fact produced this design for the box set, which looks incredibly lovely, has a nice series of lights around the bottom there, as well as of course that all-important light beam that does attract in the TARDIS at the very start of the story. And of course, due to this being an 80s series of Doctor Who, we do of course have to have those essential starfields in the background, looking as iconic as always. In keeping with the colourful era of the Sixth Doctor, opening up the case itself, we are greeted by this rather lovely looking artwork inspired by the planet of Tharos Beta, as seen within the second story of the box set, being of course Mindwarp. And on the opposite side, we do of course get all the different trays, which contains the discs of this set. I've said this a number of times on Twitter already, so if you follow me on Twitter, apologies because you're about to hear it again. Whoever is responsible at the BBC for producing the posters and promotional material for the show, please get Lee Binding's artwork, such as the front covers of these box sets, put them onto t-shirts and coasters and cups and whatever else. I guarantee you will get money for them. But most importantly, please get this cover art and do a massive poster of it, a massive maxi poster, because the colours of this design are just absolutely beautiful. Of course, in the very centre of the image itself, we do get your usual TARDIS exterior box, which has been created by Jonathan Pickard. These wild colours that are used both within the scene, as well as the rather gorgeous skyline of Tharos Beta, with the planet in the background and its spirals. We have the costume of the Sixth Doctor, which really nicely complements this piece, and the colours once again really nicely reflect from the sea and bring out the further colours in Colin's costume even more. This is absolutely gorgeous. Please release a poster of it. I need it in my life. People do sometimes ask me, considering that the Sixth Doctor is a rather controversial incarnation of the Doctor, why do I like him so much? And I've gone into this within some of my Big Finish reviews in the past, and it's because his Doctor stands out so much. I do not care about the costume. I think that sometimes people need to look beyond the costume itself, and to be honest, if anything, the costume once again complements his incarnation of the Doctor. He is quite obviously an alien that has stumbled throughout time and space onto different planets, and he's keen for adventure. In a way, he's a magician. I think that photos such as this have been wonderfully constructed. Having this Doctor nicely displayed next to his TARDIS, he just looks perfectly strong and powerful and all good. And to be honest, sometimes I actually think that Colin Baker's Doctor looks more like the Doctor than any other. The inside of the box lid, as per usual, does of course also doubled up as a holster for the leaflet on the inside, but at the same time we are also greeted by once again the cover of the booklet itself, which I will be covering in a second. And then of course on the inside of this, almost like we've entered the TARDIS from the front, we have the TARDIS exterior, specifically modelled from season 23, including your usual 80s design. However, a few season 23 elements have been added in there, including of course the exercise bike at the side, as well as one of the new CGI elements from the Terror of the Vervoids. Once again, another piece of artwork from Lee Binding that looks absolutely brilliant, and it's almost like this is a poster for a 21st century variation of Trial of a Time Lord, with of course the Inquisitor and the Valeyard looking on as the Sixth Doctor looks down towards the floor, presumably because he's just found out, of course, of Peri's fate at the end of Mindwarp. A really lovely cover, and then of course on the back of this, much like in keeping with the rest of the box sets, we have a continuation of that red theme, along with a lovely image of the Sixth Doctor printed on the back. The inside of the booklet has once again been set out in exactly the same manner to the previous complete season box sets, with a lovely black and white image of the Sixth Doctor at the side, along with a few quotes from an interview with him, and the rest of the informational text on the inside of the booklet itself has been written by Pete McTighe, giving a really nice commentary of the season itself, as well as giving a rundown of all of the different special features that can be found on each individual disc. Along with this, there is also some images and stills as seen from the actual stories themselves, as well as of course a few pieces of artwork that have been uniquely made especially for this booklet. I'm not going to go through every single page and keep a little bit of it a surprise. However, at the very back we do also get some details about the bonus discs, as well as a few of the talented people that worked on this box set, and a rather lovely image from the disc 1 special feature being the Doctor's Table, one of my personal favourite highlights of this box set as a whole. And because you can't have too many photos of Colin Baker in your life, at the very back of the box you do also have the inclusion of Colin Baker's face within the 80s title sequence behind the last bonus disc. My past few complete season box sets have in fact had a pretty decent quality control. I think the last one that I had issues with would have been season 19, I think it was. Sadly, however, this box set does have a slight quality control issue where the disc tray has in fact been glued in too close to the end of the box, meaning in order to get in the trays underneath you kind of need to prise up from where the disc is as opposed to where the sides of the tray are. So please BBC or whoever's producing these actually ensure that the machine or whoever does it, if it's done manually, actually glues the disc trays in at the correct space, not leaving this big gap here, so you can easily flick through all of the trays without this problem of it being rather hard to flick through the bottom discs there due to it being so close to the end of the box. It's a minor little gripe. It's certainly not as bad as my season 19 box set where the actual trays were coming off the box itself due to the glue at the back being not fixed on properly. However, it's just a minor little gripe. And that's really it for the physical product itself. Once again, an absolutely beautiful piece that I highly recommend adding to your collection, especially if you are a fan of the 6th Doctor and season 23 in particular. Now, of course, special features wise, which I will be going on to in a second, is a rather nice range of new and old special features that were previously released on the 2010 DVDs, but to be quite honest, I would actually recommend buying these box sets alone for the actual physical presentation, because there's something about them that just feels really lovely and a nice celebration of the specific eras of the show, and of course you can build them all up to eventually have this massive archive of Doctor Who media. And as I mentioned at the very start of this review, if you are wanting to buy this box set, buy it soon to avoid disappointment, so of course the season 12 scenario doesn't happen again. I can't actually show you this because I'm currently at university, but I do in fact have the original season 23 Travel Time Lord box set, the 2010 black version, with of course the 6th Doctor in the space station in a rather lovely red filter. It was released many years ago, I want to say 2008 or something like that, maybe it was even earlier. However, what I love about that product is because I was around 8 years old at the time, that product was watched almost on a monthly basis. I just adored Travel Time Lord as a season, hence why I absolutely adore the 6th Doctor now. And what I love about that product is that it is battered to hell because of how much I watched it as a kid. So it's kind of a nice memory to cherish, and it's kind of nice as well that I now have a new one to go alongside it on display that admittedly will be kept in a lot better condition compared to that original version, which has now been retired to the shelf of memories. In keeping with the theme of the previous complete season box set releases, each individual disc of this set has also received an artwork upgrade, including a number of different characters from season 23, as well as a general upgraded theme, so each disc is the same, which is really nice and satisfying to look at. The media presented on complete season 23 is possibly the best selection of new and old content we've seen so far on a complete season set to date. I'm blown away with the sheer effort and precision that has gone into collecting as many features as possible from not only Doctor Who itself, but also external TV archive material. As per usual, the menu selection sequence uses the 80s TARDIS console room. All 14 parts superbly have the option for 5.1 surround sound, as well as commentary and even isolated music scores, along with your regular featurettes making a welcome return, additional studio footage, deleted scenes, photo galleries, as well as the Behind the Sofa series. Couch 1 this time round featuring Nicola Bryant, Bonnie Langford and Colin Baker, and Couch 2 featuring Fraser Hines, Mark Strickson and Matthew Waterhouse. I particularly loved Colin Baker and the companions' contributions reflecting on their time on the show whilst viewing the stories. You also get Colin Baker saying to select audio navigation, press enter now, which if that is not worth £38.99 as it is, then I don't know what is. It's worth every penny. As with all classic series stories, there is making of documentaries to accompany all 4 stories within season 23, split across all 4 story discs, including cast interviews, writer's notes, and reflection on the production. As always, they are nicely in-depth, and you can certainly learn something new from each individual adventure featured on this set. They are pretty much the Doctor Who Confidential of classic series Doctor Who. For my viewing of Season 23, I opted for the extended edited variations, having seen the original broadcast versions of Trial of the Time Lord many times before. So if you are like me and have watched Trial of the Time Lord a little bit too much in the past, I urge you to start with Disc 5 rather than Disc 1, containing episodes 1 to 8 extended, following with parts 9 to 14 on Disc 6. The first disc of Season 23 does of course feature the first 4-part story of the season, being The Mysterious Planet, which does of course feature your usual TV archive material from BBC Continuity, Blue Peter, Terry Wogan interviews and Bonnie Langford on the Saturday Night Picture Show, along with points of view. There is also deleted and extended scenes, studio location and model footage, as well as Trial's new variation of theme tune from Dominic Glynn. There is also a brand new feature known as the Doctor's Table, featuring Bonnie, Nicola, Colin and Michael Jason, which is an absolute brilliant piece, with familiar faces having a laugh over some rather creative questions, some personal, some Doctor Who theme, making for a really lovely watch. Another one of the highlights of this box set on this disc in particular is the outtakes on the studio footage section, including some absolutely hilarious moments with Colin Baker. I did in fact see the BFI screening with Colin Baker present back in September, and it was very unusual watching him witness his own outtakes from the 1980s. Taking a look at the second story of Trial of the Time Lord now, being Mindwarp, as written by Philip Martin, featuring the return of Syl, as previously seen in Vengeance on Varos. Once again, there is more TV archive material on this disc from Tempex, which is a French TV show, along with your usual continuity announcements. BBC Breakfast Time, covering the release of the Doctor Who Companions book, as well as featurettes, including Now and Then discussing location footage throughout the classic series of Doctor Who, as well as focusing on the locations used throughout Trial of the Time Lord. Blessed on Doctor Who, featuring Brian Blessed reflecting on his memories of the show throughout the years, talking about each individual incarnation of the Doctor. The Sixth Doctor revisited from the 50th anniversary series, which I believe aired in BBC America back when the 50th anniversary celebrations were taking place. A nice featurette that is also included on the other complete season box sets for the other classic series Doctors. So over the next few years, it's most likely presumed we will see all the other Doctor Revisited episodes released at some point. 50 years in the TARDIS, with Colin Baker reflecting on his time as the Doctor, but also giving a slight nod to Big Finish and how he's been able to develop his Doctor how he hoped to in the 1980s within the audio drama format. A lovely interview from 2013 with Colin Baker, really showcasing his warm personality. Disc 3 is Terror of the Vervoids, as written by Pip and Jane Baker, featuring the debut of Bonnie Langford as Mel. Featuring interviews with Pip and Jane Baker, along with the brand new 2019 edit presenting the removal of the trial sequences within the story, along with updated special effects, making Terror of the Vervoids feel like its own standalone adventure. This is a great touch, and the Robert Ritchie inspired brand new 60 theme is utterly beautiful. This can in fact now be watched on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel in its HD glory, and is definitely one of the other highlights of this box set. There is also deleted and extended scenes, studio footage, continuity announcements and your usual photo galleries. Trial of a Time Lord comes to a climax with the 2-part final story, The Ultimate Foe. This disc is loaded with material. Firstly, the Lost Season short documentary, which is the same documentary that appeared on the original To Entertain DVD box set, including lovely artwork visualisations of the missing Season 23 stories. I adore this documentary, and it is without a doubt one of my favourite Doctor Who documentaries of all time. There is also additional location footage seen Colin Baker creating the beach matrix illusion scenes, providing great insight into Colin on set between the takes, which is perfect for people who are fans of TV production throughout the 1980s. There is also the 2019 new feature, including the writer's room for Lost Season 23, with Wally K. Daly, Christopher H. Bidmead, Philip Martin and Eric Saywood, alongside audio clips from the Big Finish adaptations of the Lost stories, which I absolutely love. It is a stunning way to incorporate the different medias, and I thoroughly enjoyed watching it, and it is certainly a great advertisement for the Lost Season stories that are available to be purchased via the Big Finish website. Other old features making a return is the 1-hour documentary Trial and Tribulations, which covers Sixie's era upon reflection, covering all of his TV stories in depth, as well as presenting the relationships of the production team at the time. Stripped for Action explores the Sixth Doctor's representation throughout the comic form, and has also been seen on the previous box sets throughout this series for the other incarnations of the Doctor. This featurette does also include some reference to everybody's favourite shape-shifting penguin, Frobisher the Whifferdale, which I did certainly appreciate. TV archive material from this disc also includes the Saturday Superstore, which is a nice segment seeing Colin Baker answer phone calls from fans, as well as Open Air featuring fans talking about season 23 right in front of Pip and Jane Baker, including, yes, that scene with Chris Chibnall. Tomorrow's World, which is a science game show with yet another appearance of Colin Baker, this time round in full costume, along with the untransmitted sketch from French and Saunders, making for a rather interesting use of the trial courtroom set seen many times throughout season 23. And finally, there is Tomorrow's Times, covering the Sixth Doctor era and how it was reflected within the media, including mostly newspapers, an intriguing watch given the controversial era of the show that the Sixth Doctor is within. New for 2019, and in keeping with the previous complete season box sets, Matthew Sweet once again returns, this time round in conversation with Bonnie Langford. A good laid-back documentary exploring Bonnie Langford's career, ending off with the making of documentary showcasing the unusual circumstances that the Ultimate Four was created under due to the sad passing of Robert Holmes. As mentioned previously, the 5th disc of the box set is Bonus Disc 1, featuring episodes 1 to 8 in the extended format. And the 6th and final disc of season 23 is the 2nd bonus disc, containing the remaining extended episode edits for parts 9 through to 14. The main special feature on this disc is without a doubt the Doctor Who Cookbook Revisited, originally written by Gary Downing. We are so lucky that this beautiful feature exists, another one of the best special features I've ever watched on a Doctor Who product. The production quality is basically that of a regular BBC TV show. A lot of fun, with some great stories along the way, as cast members of Doctor Who make some rather unusual and questionable cookbook recipes. As Doctor Who fans, this is a perfect example of how well we are treated for what is merely just a special feature on a box set, plus the fact that they've actually got India Fisher, also known as the 8th Doctor's companion, Charlotte Pollard, as well as the voice of MasterChef, is absolute perfection. And if that wasn't enough, there is also 3 whole additional extra recipes that didn't make the final cut of Doctor Who Cookbook Revisited. As per usual, there is the inclusion of the complete season 23 Blu-ray trailer, which is also available to watch on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, and is one of my personal favourite trailers that have been released so far as part of this series. One of the final featurettes of the set is now Get Out of That, looking at Doctor Who cliffhangers throughout the show's history. And finally, there is the Panopticon archive footage, along with your usual BBC studio clocks, which does of course conclude another complete season box set special feature rundown. So overall, for Doctor Who The Collection, the complete season 23 Blu-ray box set, another absolutely incredible release to add to the collection. I can recall when this series started over a year ago, I was a little bit worried that they would leave the 6th Doctor until around the end, due to him only having 2 seasons to be released, being season 22 and season 23, along of course with his additional cameo within the end of the Caves of Androzani and into the Twin Dilemma. And I'm so happy that they've managed to get one of his seasons out within the early days of this series, because Colin Baker as the 6th Doctor has so much to offer, and I think that quite often his Doctor is overlooked. He is a Doctor that is just seen as not very good just because people have said so in the past, and a lot of people have this negativity towards his Doctor without even giving him a chance. And I do genuinely think that yes, Trial of the Time Lord does have its flaws as a season, but at the same time, this series is great when it comes to character and pretty much narrative as well. All 4 of the separate stories have something to offer. They go to some incredible locations, and the concept of the whole season is pretty decent as well. And if that's not to your taste, then the special features definitely should be. Once again, they have failed to disappoint. The amount of special features on this box set is absolutely incredible. The amount of effort that has gone into getting all the different TV archive material pieces, as well as filming brand new documentaries for this box set, is beyond amazing, and I highly recommend it even if you got the original version. It is certainly worth the recommended retail. As for the actual product itself, once again, it is absolutely beautiful. I love the consistency of the discs, and I absolutely adore the artwork by Lee Binding on the front of the box set itself. And much like all of the previous box sets within this series, I absolutely love that it is consistent, and there's something so addictive about this series of releases that just makes you want to add more and more seasons to your collection, and it makes the classic series of Doctor Who feel even more accessible to those people who previously haven't decided to watch any episodes. This is almost a jumping on point, but very much like how I've said throughout this review, due to it being limited edition, I highly recommend purchasing this product soon in order to avoid disappointment, because you do not want to miss out on Colin Baker. Buy it. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have any questions about the complete Season 23 box set, then please do leave them in the comments section below, and I will try my best to answer them at some point in the near future. I do of course also stay tuned for my further complete season box set reviews, as well as other product reviews that I do of course do on the Host Productions, and of course the next review as a part of this series will be the complete Season 26. I will either be out at the end of December 2019, or the more likely case, early January 2020. So thanks again for watching this review, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.